Good evening. I'd like to open up this meeting of the Buxton Planning Board for Monday, February 10th. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is an application for a conditional use for Hannaford Brothers LLC, Maple Rock LLC, for a clink structure located at 24 Portland Road, map 9, lot 33. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Jay Lord. I'm with Maple Rock, here for Hannaford Brothers. Dan Riley's here with me for Clink right here, if you have any questions. I don't know if most of you are probably familiar with the Clink operation. We haven't had one in Buxton. We have it inside the store, but not out. And so this is a application to put an outside structure here, which is basically a large drop box. It's about the size of a double cab pickup. It's about that size, 8 feet wide, probably about 20 feet long or so. It's going to take up 2 or 3 parking spaces. There'll be a couple on the end reserved for customers and/or loading and unloading. We've put a lot of these around the state. This is a brand new type of prototype that's being rolled out. It's manufactured right here in Maine in Woolwich. It's by Opsbox. They use recycled plastics to make really a dense foam insulation building, so it's very light. It's really a prefabricated. It can come over the road. Our old ones used to have to be built in place. This is very time-saving in many, many ways. But that's what we're proposing here tonight. It's really just sits right on the pavement. There's no alteration of the site in any sort of way. The old Clink buildings used to have to draw power either from an exterior pole or from inside the building. This one is self-contained with solar panels on top and a very small wind turbine that generates all of the power that it needs for this. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. It's very simple. It's like just a big drop box. We tried to set it on the site so it's pretty well hidden off to the side, still convenient for everybody coming in and out. But I think it makes it much more convenient for people rather than having to go and get a cart and take their recyclables into the store. Now they can just come around, drop it in, and then just go into the store. It just saves a lot of use by the customers coming in. So, but that's basically it in a nutshell. It's a very simple request.
Okay. Questions from the board, Roger?
No questions. It seems pretty, yeah.
Okay. Fred?
One question, one concern. This doesn't meet design standards.
Pardon?
This does not meet our design standards. You can't have a flat roof.
This is a sloped roof. This is a slightly sloped roof. It's not a flat roof. It slopes off to the back.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, members of the board. Dan Kiley from Clink, Chief of Staff for them. There's about a 2-degree pitch on the roof so that water will run off to the rear of the building.
Yep. Okay. So,
While you're looking, do you want me to go on?
Yes.
You all set for now?
Yep.
We can always come back.
all set for right now, yep. I want to
Scott.
read this.
Yes, so can you explain to me what the exterior will look like?
Yes.
I know we had something in a packet.
Yes.
Yeah, so that design and rendering is our kind of a new look, a new package for recycling here in Maine. There's a considerable amount of artwork and then instructions that are tied to this. Being a solar building with new technologies compared to what we use in our current Hannaford applications, the need to have some additional design criteria for us to display for our customers how to actually use this. As simple as it sounds, it's very hard for customers to understand sometimes until you get a hang of it, of how to actually drop off the box. I do have some additional photos that I can show you that also put it in perspective. Being only 8 feet tall, the box gets lost very often in a parking lot, so you don't necessarily see it as you would in the rendering there. So it does kind of hide itself. And to Jay's point, where this is going to be located, very, out of the way behind all the trees and everything else there.
Thank you. I do have a concern with this, that we do have a design standards, New England looking style. I would not say this is a New England looking style.
No, understood.
I would say what you have at Gorham, South Portland.
Yep.
I would be okay with something like that, and they have instructions on the front of those buildings on how to use it.
Okay.
We're not, I think you could probably still do your solar and wind turbines on top of that. I realize it may be a little bit more, but this may be better in a different community.
No, certainly, certainly understand that. Look, I'm on the same planning board in Kennebunk, and I'm at your meeting tonight and not mine, so I understand that.
You don't know until you ask, right?
Right, well, and that's exactly it. And, part of it is to try to continue to push the recycling rate here in Maine.
Yep.
And, this will be the first one that we look to be placing in the state of Maine.
I would like to think if, to do the prefabs, you could probably do something. I don't know if you need, again,
Yeah, but is that really within our forte, what they put on the side of the,
it's, it just doesn't scream, doesn't even say anything about New England. Just, to me, it's just art. This is something I would see down in the city on the wall. I don't know, that's just my opinion.
Oh, certainly understand that.
Yeah, then, so I do notice, I guess Hannaford's will have to find another place to push the snow, because I see there's quite a snow pile there now.
Yeah,
And
where the parking stalls are in the attached drawing, the snow typically is to the south of that location, on the grass structure there. We'd be looking at on the paved portion of the parking lot right now.
Thank you.
okay. Heath?
Yeah, hi, how's it going? So where that is being placed in the parking lot, is there gonna be like any kind of like bollards or anything around that to keep it from getting bumped and everything too?
Yeah, we could put some temporary bollards out there. What we typically use is about a 4-foot tall bollard. Currently in the applications right now, Hannaford utilizes inset ones, and it's primarily because the overhang of the existing building, those bollards are really designed to keep the vehicles away from the building structure itself. At only 8 feet wide, on a traditional 18-foot parking stall, we're actually going to be about 8 to 10 feet back from the front of those parking stalls. So we'll be out of the way considerably, but we will place some temporary ones there. And I say temporary, portable ones, right? So they're basically a concrete pillar that will just sit on the ground.
All right. And now the solar and the wind, now how does is that like go to a battery storage or it goes to battery storage?
Yep, so we have 4 lithium batteries inside there that store the power for us.
That's in the mechanical room, I think it said on here, or something like that?
Were they in the mechanicals, Jay?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
Let me just double check. I did a complete building set for you. I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, we can certainly provide those if you need more detail on that.
Is that what they're calling the tech cabinet? Is that
Yeah.
what it is? Okay.
Yeah, everything's in a lock cabinet, so it's not accessible to anybody that goes into it other than our technician.
All right. All right, thank you.
Greg, did you want to go back or what?
No, I'm good for right now.
No offense, but it looks like something from a James Bond movie. Is there any way that you could?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I was gonna say, I do like James Bond.
Yeah, I do too. Is there any way it could be designed with a pitched roof on both sides? Is that a possibility?
So if I can I share some?
Sure.
Thank you.
Go on, man. Because I'm just going off this picture.
Right, if they could do that, something
Yeah.
to make it look like that.
I mean, that's,
So being a,
Thank you.
so the purpose of these photos are to show you kind of how it gets lost within the parking lot itself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As you see there, you know, I've taken it from about 200 feet out as we get closer to the building. So you can actually see it in a live environment. This is down in Bristol, Connecticut, where we've gone live. So in terms of the roof slopes, because the solar panels are mounted on a flat surface, and these are prefab, pre-constructed buildings, the ability to go to various pitched roofs and things like that makes it a lot more challenging, makes it a lot more costly.
Okay.
So we're trying to do this in a very cost-effective way. As Jay said, these boxes are made out of recycled material. So the whole building is made from recycled plastics as well as aluminum bases.
Okay. You said you were on the planning board in Kennebunk?
Yes, I am.
Do they have design standards in Kennebunk?
Sure they do.
Would this pass Kennebunk's muster from the planning board?
In terms of the
Proposed?
building design and layout, yes.
You think
In
so?
in terms of the graphics, it's going to be the same question that every town's going to want something unique or specific.
But the physical depiction of the building, you don't
Yep.
think would be an issue?
No.
Okay. I do, now looking at these pictures, see how it's much more of a low profile.
Yeah.
You know, how does the board feel?
I got the 8 feet reading through the stuff. I don't like the graphics.
Okay.
I mean, if I was to go forward with something like this, how can you do something different with the graphics? We have a sign, I mean, this is like a huge sign.
Yeah.
We have a sign standard for, honestly, I'd be more happy to see something like at Gorham. Even if you had this box with
would you-
graphics that looked like something, I don't know.
Would you be okay with the architectural design but different graphics?
Depends on the graphics, I guess.
Okay. How does the rest of the board feel?
I kind of feel the same way. I mean, the graphics is just like, sticks right out there, like, I mean, I understand because you want people to see it, but at the same time, I mean, it just sticks
Yeah.
right out there, like, I don't know, can you just go to a couple, like, standard colors or something to match the building that's already there? The store itself?
Yeah, we could, you know, the purpose of this is to
Would that make
understand
more
what the board
sense,
is looking
Scott?
for as well, and work with the board. Yeah, absolutely.
I would actually wonder the same thing, is if you could use some sort of a material to make it match the same design as the building. It's,
Yeah.
so, but I mean, like, you know, that same concept, but adding an outside, you know, facade that matches the approval that's already happened for the building itself, you know, so it's continuous, you know.
So we could certainly,
And-
you know,
and I'm-
we could apply other things to this. Part of this is trying to be as cost-effective as possible, to drive down the cost of these buildings, so it's a full wrap. You know, we could adjust colors and things like that, to do that, but to add clapboard siding or other architectural features, really starts to drive up the cost for, you know, essentially a portable building.
Well, I'm not saying, because you're saying it's a wrapped building then?
Yes,
So I'm not saying like you have to add clapboard siding or something, just make that wrap of the color of the building
Vinyl
that's
or
existing
brick
now,
or-
so it matches more.
okay. Well,
I mean, I
I'm
don't
hearing
know,
two different
is
things.
that
So you're
something
saying
possible?
brick,
Well, no, I'm not thinking of the front of the store right now, but
Okay.
just whatever, something that is, you know, if it was vinyl wrapped in a siding image, you know, what I mean, it's, but I don't know, I think it's no exposed screws is what the rule says, so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not,
no, I understand it. I think,
But
I'm looking at the picture from Gorham in South Portland, and the building, the body of the building is painted the exact color as Hannaford,
Those are wraps too.
and the trim is painted the exact color
Yeah.
as Hannaford.
okay.
So maybe something like that with your graphics on there now. I don't think that would be, I mean, you're basically just changing the wrap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to redesign it, but yes, we,
Yeah.
Well, and if you just had like you have on the front of these, the instructions are on front of the door, and then you have there's like a 3x4, or 3x5 clink sign.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And then the rest is gonna be the color of, right, you matching.
I mean, you're still planning on using bag tags, correct?
correct.
And you can also use your phone,
Yes,
but you still have to have a bag tag.
yep,
Okay. You can't scan your bags without a tag.
correct.
So your phone doesn't do it until you go in physically. Now, is there going to be a kiosk for
The kiosk is still gonna remain inside the store.
the bags and for the
Yep.
tags?
Yep.
So the dispenser will be still in the store?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, all that stays the same.
And the roof matches also.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can understand what they're trying to come up with, this modular concept where it's prefabbed, it's brought on a flatbed, and
cost
it's
effective,
just
yeah.
laid down.
It's set down the parking lot.
Yep.
And you can move
like
it if
the
you find that you
idea.
want
Yeah.
to.
There's no earthwork.
Now, you're not planning on taking it away when it's filled with bottles and bringing another one back, are you?
No, no,
I just want to double check on that.
no, the pickup procedure would be the same as the other,
Okay.
and there's only 4 out of the 56 Hannafords we service here in the state of Maine, only 14 of them are interior bottle rooms like this. The majority of them are all exterior
Yep.
buildings.
Which makes sense, because when I do go to the Buxton Hannaford, the truck is normally parked out by the front entrance.
Correct.
Which could cause,
Yep, so this will be
Much
keeping
more
it off to the
effective.
side.
yep. Okay, any additional, Keith, any more comments? Code enforcement, do you have any input or comments?
Just that in their narrative, they talked about the loss of 3 to 4 parking spaces, and when the project was originally constructed, a variance was sought for the parking spaces. So we just, in this process, want to be mindful of that and
Okay,
either vote to reduce it again by 3 to 4 spaces.
Okay.
But we want to discuss
Yeah.
their justification for not increasing parking.
So that was one of my questions was, I meant to look it up. Is that a Hannaford requirement, or is that from the zoning square footage of the building parking spaces?
I think it was our requirement.
Well, I mean, we require for certain retails, I think it's like one parking spot for every 150 square feet. I don't know if the numbers that came up was from the town ordinance, or is that
One
a
space for every
Hannaford's?
150 square feet of floor space. That's ours.
And it's the building's a 30,000 square foot building, isn't it? I think?
Yeah, the approval was for 178 spaces based upon the square footage of the store, which is, actually, there would have been a lot more if it was 150 feet per square feet. We took it down to 1 per 200 square feet. So it's 5 per 1,000 is what we got approved for. Right now, when we do new Hannafords, we're down to between 4 and 4.5 spaces per 1,000, almost
Yeah,
every
but
place
our
we go.
ordinance dictates how many spaces you have to have.
Exactly, and there's a lot of empty spaces out there all the time. I mean, we're trying, every place we go, we're not trying to over-park, I should say, because you just, everybody shops differently now. The parking ratios have come way down, so that's why we don't think there's a need to add more parking. But if we did, we could always add it down, coming down from where the proposed clink building is. There's plenty of area that you could add it if you needed to.
Do you know how many parking spaces are in the existing plan right now?
178.
178. And they needed, by our ordinance, how many? Do we know?
I did not do that. no.
Whatever, okay.
Say it was 30,000?
If the building's 30, I think it's 30,000 square feet.
I think it's 36,000.
36,000,
Yeah,
okay.
that was usually the size. That was a 35K.
Yep, yep.
So they would need 200 spaces.
Okay. And that's why they got the waiver.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But I think also, isn't there a plan down the road to build further additional units along, if you face the building on the right-hand side, and also in the front where the grass area is?
Yes and no. As you look at that plan right there, as you look to the right of the darker pavement, which is really the heavy-duty pavement, that is a separate parcel with its own parking ratio for those buildings that are over there.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then in front of Hannaford, right just at the bottom of the dark area, there is another out parcel there that would require its own zoning.
Right, approval from us,
Yeah,
right.
approval
Yep,
from you
yep.
as well, right, yeah.
And, I mean, I was on the board when this was approved. I thought that there was some talk maybe of a section of strip to the right-hand side there in the back, opposite of behind Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, no, with the
No.
property line is right there,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. There was a pad site that
Dunkin's
was.
right there, and then you have
but
what,
go-
Right.
Go up
stormwater.
a little bit?
Yeah,
and
that-
go
that is
back and forth.
Yeah, that's a separate parcel now.
As it goes, oh,
That area there,
You thought in there?
yeah, but I might be wrong. Okay. All right. So we'll clarify the parking. And if we need to come, I mean, I go there all the time. I don't know, you guys probably go. I don't think I've ever had an issue with parking.
No.
No.
I haven't. I've been on, some of the major holidays, and it's,
Usually before a snowstorm's the worst.
yeah, and there's still parking available.
Yeah, I've never had a problem
I think
parking.
there's plenty of parking.
Yep.
And I just soon keep the impervious down as well.
Yep.
If we can.
Okay, any other additional comments from the board at the moment?
So
no
are
comments.
we thinking this pitch roof would be, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of a pitch on it, but
Can that be done, or is that that three-pitch, basically you're
I
stuck
mean,
with?
essentially, at this point, it's
It's a pre-constructed
it's
building.
pre-constructed buildings, so we have
Okay.
40
40 of these already built to deploy across Maine, New York, and Connecticut.
Okay,
To redesign it would push this off for
Okay.
a
okay,
period of time.
okay. Well, I think the board's in agreement that we're okay with the structure, but it's the graphics that we would like amended a little bit,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, I think that if it, because the
Follow it
Hannaford,
down
it has,
Yeah,
it has the brick and then it has the beige stone. If it was something similar to that, and then there's no, it would mean
and
any.
I understand you're a separate company from Hannaford. I mean, do you have Clink locations in other stores, other, like Wegmans or Kroger's or other supermarkets in the area?
Not in the state of Maine. Right now, we're working with Stop and Shop in Connecticut.
Okay.
Piloting this same thing, which you see here.
Yep.
As well as just talking to other brands. We're also looking at non-grocery locations. So we're going to be looking at a couple locations in Augusta and further north that are smaller footprints with the same goal, though, of increasing the recycling rate. Maine has one of the best recycling rates, but it also has the most inclusive bottle bill in the country in terms of the containers that are involved in that, because we take back almost everything in the state, which is fantastic. This is just another way to help facilitate that for consumers. And there's a lot of areas across the state where Hannaford is the only redemption center. So if you go down into, lower York County, there are really no redemption centers and no redemption opportunities in places like Kittery, Algonquin, right? There's a York, Hannaford, there's a Hannaford, North Berwick, right? That's it in that entire area, up into Wells. So we're trying to find locations that we can go into. And this is part of the process, is trying to navigate every community's ordinances, across the state and do it in a way that's cost-effective for both us, for the retailer, and ultimately for the community.
Like I said, you're a separate company for Hannaford, so I don't know if you want to brand your structures exactly like Hannaford, but you've obviously done that in South Portland and you've done it in Gorham.
Yes, yeah, so, but there are locations where we've actually done artwork graphics in Rockland and other municipalities too.
Okay.
Some of this was a point in time. We've been with Hannaford for 18 years in the state of Maine, so there's various building types and structures, you know,
Yep.
across the state.
I mean, originally they were all in the stores.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you process everything in South Portland, is that correct?
Well, we have two processing facilities, one in Oakland and one in Biddeford.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, it's in Biddeford now?
Yeah.
I thought it was on,
We moved out of the South Portland area.
Okay.
About 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, are you fairly clear on what we're asking you for?
Yeah, so if I could just clarify on the graphics, and check me if I'm wrong in this, as we go through. So building structure, material, slopes and all that, the board seems to be okay with. It's finding a graphic package that is consistent or similar to that of the existing building structure. Parking, you're fine with the parking utilization, so it is 4 parking stalls.
Yep.
So we can create a safety buffer from the first parking stall to the end, so we can also securely and safely get material out.
Yep.
In terms of, is that coming back to the board, or could it be done through a working session with the town planner? How do you want to approach
Well, we don't
next
have a
steps?
town planner, unfortunately, but.
Okay.
Do we need to do a site walk? I
I'm
don't
all,
need,
I'm all set.
I don't
I don't
think we
need
need
to
to
say.
I don't think we need to do a
Yeah,
sidewalk.
okay. Do
How do we,
want to move this forward, or do we want to wait, get input from them, check on the parking, and then send a public hearing?
I'd assume get someone there on the graphics done
Okay.
first, the
So if you could
signing.
provide us with just a basic sample of what the graphics would look like?
Sure.
We'll discuss that at our next meeting, and then we'll probably set a public hearing, which will be 2 weeks from our next meeting.
Okay, and just for clarification, the instructions, the directions on how to use the station, that utilization, if that was on I'm going to say
A billboard.
you want it on a build into a box structure, or could it just be on, I'm kind of envisioning that wall there, something of that color, with the instructions written out.
I thought, could you do something like Gorham and the other ones, where you have right on the doors above each bay?
Well, the one in Gorham has like a billboard that says,
Then off to the side is,
The
yeah,
instructions.
there's like a 3x5, something
Yep,
like that.
yep.
Clink, blah, 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 how to do all this stuff, but there's also instructions in front of each of the doors, aren't there? The
But
bay-
on each of the doors, it just says bag it, tag it, scan it.
Yeah.
Right, so it's more of a,
Oh, I took a picture
but
of
you
it.
also have to place that disclaimer on the building about people bringing recyclables from out of state.
yeah,
or
we
that-
post the main
Okay.
final bill regs and
Right.
specific laws.
Yeah, I think, it's, right, I mean, it's your identity. You can't take that away from you.
Yeah.
But it just needs to be scaled down so it's not, so I think like the size you have at Gorham, I would be
Yeah,
okay.
I've done all but 2 or 3 clinks, so I know them very well. My question is coming back to trying to match the building. A clink, like you said, it's been here for 18 years. It's really got its own identity and color and everything. And I'm a little concerned if we start to match buildings, because Hannaford every so often changes the color scheme of their stores. So it's going to
Yep.
look very different, where, I mean, if we're trying to provide continuity, maybe we try to keep all of the clinks the same, so wherever you go, they become more of a recognizable structure and color, if nothing else. Because I believe Gorham was a wrap, I believe. I think almost all of these local, the recent ones have all been wraps.
Gorham's Clapboards.
Is it Clapwood?
Yeah. And so is it,
Gray is a wrap. North Wyndham is a wrap. That was one of the more recent ones. But that was all hand-built. That's,
Right.
yeah,
These are
And that's
modular.
why,
yeah.
I
it
think
was-
we're willing to work with you on that. It's just,
Yeah.
and if you have some other design, something
Yeah.
that would,
Well, this is,
the other ones are matching Hannaford's.
yeah,
Yes.
But if you want to
Okay.
start doing something
And I understand
separate.
what you're saying, that
Yeah.
yeah.
if Hannaford
Just trying to get
decides
some,
to change stuff.
yeah, direction here, what we can do, yeah. Okay.
Something not so flashy.
I'm sorry?
Just something not so flashy.
Okay, board all set? We all set? Okay, we'll see you at the next meeting, which is February 24th, and we'll go over that, and then if we have enough information, we'll probably set a public hearing for the second Monday in March. We don't have any holidays then, do we? President's Day is when?
You missed that.
We missed it?
That's next week.
Next week, okay. Okay,
Very good.
all right, good evening. We'll
Thank
see you then.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You guys.
Next item on the agenda is the CEO report.
So all I have is an update on 771 Narragansett Trail, which I emailed you guys, but in case you didn't see it. There are currently, there's one use that the board approved, the medical marijuana dispensary. There's a one-chair hair salon, which was a use approved through the code office. A mortgage broker office, same thing through the code office. And 3 professional offices, mental health professional offices. None of them have received occupancy yet. There's a couple of things that the building owner needs to take care of, but you may see furniture being moved in, which is okay. And they won't be given occupancy until the things that they have to correct are corrected. I am tracking parking spaces, so each use has with it a number of parking spaces by the ordinance. So, right now they have dedicated 9 spaces. And when they start getting occupancy, I will let you know, so you know when, but right now there should be, it may be this week, depending
We
on
approved
them.
We approved the dispensary in July,
But the building wasn't finished yet.
okay?
It's, yeah,
But I still have some things to finish for occupancy.
in the yep.
Yep, okay. Does everybody understand what we're talking about?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Approval of minutes for January 27th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second?
I have a motion by Scott, a second by Craig to approve the minutes. Discussion, all those in favor? 4 with 1 absent. Okay. Approval of bills. So I saw something in here
Yes,
for,
have, looks like an invoice for this meeting coming up, is it next, for March, for the FOA training, in the amount of $40. That'll be a Zoom meeting. I'll be here, is that gonna be,
I don't know yet, depends on, what date does March 4th fall on?
is it the 4th of that
Because
it's
the
on?
budget committee has this room on days that aren't already dedicated, so it may be over in the police meeting room.
March
March
4th
4th
is a Tuesday.
is
It's a Tuesday,
Tuesday.
yeah, that's at 4:30,
4:30 to,
5:30.
so we may be in this room,
Okay.
What time is it at?
4:30 to 5:30.
Will you send out reminders, please,
Yes,
via email and text?
yes,
For those who don't always read their
Yep.
email every night?
yep.
Okay. Any other bills?
That's all I have in my packet.
Okay, communications, I have nothing in my,
We need a motion to approve.
Make a
Oh, excuse me.
motion make a motion to approve a bill for $40 for the FOAA webinar.
have a second?
A second?
I have a motion by Craig and a second by Roger to approve $40 for the webinar, which will be March 3rd. We'll confirm that it's March 3rd here.
March
March 4th.
March 4th, excuse me, around 4:30. All those in favor? Okay, five in favor. Communications, I have no communications in my file. Other business, vote on zoning amendments.
I had a couple of comments on them.
Sure.
Other than that, I was,
Let's do it by page.
yep,
Okay,
page 2,
yep,
sprinkling systems for residential, 1 and 2-family homes.
yep.
Should we
Which
be-
paragraph you in?
Oh, sorry, section 10.17H at the bottom.
Yep.
Should that include ADUs?
It's page 3.
Should accessory dwellings? They're also single family.
Well, 1017. Any approved automatic
I mean, do we
single-family
do
home,
ADUs
two-family
and
dwelling,
subdivisions?
accessible structure therefore must comply with the following provisions. Right there in the first paragraph.
Or accessory structure there too, must comply with the following provisions.
You all set with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Then I was on page 4, triple I paragraph, and I'm at the bottom of that paragraph. You see where it says no parking, fire lane, the second one. If the hydrant is located on a public road, the hydrant shall be located a minimum of 20 feet. Shouldn't that be maximum of 20 feet? I would think they'd want the dry hydrant to be closer to the road than further away.
It's
No,
a
I think you
question
need
for the
room,
fire chief.
I think you need room for apparatus to pull in to
Yep.
load up and be out of the way. That's what I'm guessing, but we can double check with Chief Schools.
Yep,
That's what we currently have now.
it's what we currently have, yep,
It's not a strikeout.
correct. Oh, there could be. On page 7, 10.11G, talks about internally lit signs at the end of the yellow. So it says, internally lit electronic signs shall be allowed in the village and business commercial district and the business commercial design standards overlay. And then we say for non-residential uses as long as they meet the following standards. Why do we need for non-residential uses?
Is there a residential use for a
Does that
3x5
mean that
sign?
a resident could not put up an electronic sign?
Yes.
Is that what we want?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And then on page 12, you know, I've been struggling with this one, the business contractor. A business engaged in the provision of a service off-premise, but which has an office and equipment and materials stored on a premise, including general contract and landscaping, and yet we're allowing it in a residential zone. I don't know if I would really like to see it in my development. We're gonna end up like we had, could end up with a situation that we had up in Groveville, where you have somebody that has a business, so they're starting up early in a residential neighborhood with houses every 40,000 square feet.
So take it out of the
I would personally would like to take it out of the residential.
No,
I know we have conditional uses, but
no, I can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
yeah. I mean, I'm a contractor and I store stuff at my house. I don't, it's not stored in public, but it's,
it could.
I mean, I have ladders, I have staging, I have stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I think of like the typical Mainer is plowing in the winter, is doing construction in the summer, so having like a couple trailers, a couple trucks, maybe it's a matter of defining a professional and like a,
Right. I think that would become a code enforcement issue where if somebody's running a business like that out of the residential zone, that you would make a complaint, that you would complain to the code enforcement officer, that person would investigate and determine whether there was too much of a business in that zone or it was just a guy trying to make a living.
well, if they
Yeah,
can't,
I hear you on that, but you can't,
it's a very
Okay.
gray area.
if they go to the planning board and get conditions
Yep.
for whatever type of business, say it's landscaping.
Yep.
And it's a residential lot that's pretty small, we would probably say you can't store
Yeah,
materials outside,
Right,
and then when they did, then I can go back on them.
yes,
I think we should look at them on a case-by-case.
I agree, that's what I'm saying.
basis.
Yes.
Right.
Because you're gonna really, I mean, it's really tough to tell people what they can do with their property and what they can put on their property. Because, I might have a trailer fetish and I might want to have, 7 dump trailers and 6 leaf blower trailers, whatever, that I just use for my personal use or whatever. Or I loan to my daughter or my son or my father-in-law, or he borrows it, I borrow it,
Can I add something else? to
Yes.
this? So I've been looking at the comprehensive plan. One of our strategies was to encourage and develop more areas for cottage industries and home-based businesses. So I think as long as we bring them to the planning board so that we can condition it based on neighbors' concerns and the conditions of the property, that we're keeping in keeping with the comprehensive plan and protecting
Right.
neighbors.
I agree, I'm with that, but
But-
I'm just a spec guy, spec writer. If you don't put something in there, you can't tell somebody no. You can't just say, and then you leave it up to a code enforcement officer, that's okay. I mean, each code officer is also different. I mean, I could have somebody,
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't think of all these examples, but it's,
Well, I'm sure Patty's phone rings every day with complaints about neighbors, right? That's,
But that's why
well,
we
they
do
make
a site
fences.
walk.
That's when they make fences and nasty dogs.
Well, and if you wanted to draw some boundaries, you could draw some boundaries from things that already exist, like however many unregistered vehicles you're allowed to have sitting in your yard
Yeah.
before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could draw some of the same parallel boundaries if you wanted, because that's what it sounds like, Scott. You want to, like, draw some line in the sand of like, okay, there's a contractor working out of his garage, and then there's, a $1 million business that's taking over my entire neighborhood, but I don't know, again, it goes back to like, how do you,
yeah, I just look sometimes at like this new development that's going in off from Berry Road, Pease Road.
They all have covenants.
Or,
They have covenants.
well, they all don't.
Well,
And then you have.
the majority of the
You
new
have
ones do.
someone goes in and they just, I don't want to pick on a contractor because I don't want to offend anybody.
Right.
I think. Okay. Then my last, this is again informational probably, on commercial farm definition, second from the bottom on page 12. The production of crops and livestock for sale, typically on a large scale and for profit. And then it says involves the use of modern techniques such as mechanization, chemical fertilizers, and pesticides and hybrids to maximize crop yields. Is that last sentence really needed?
Well, yeah, I would say so.
It probably would be better to say it may involve, because if
Correct.
somebody comes in that doesn't have those things,
would-
they could say, it doesn't fit this definition.
That's what I would
Yep.
be okay with may,
May,
yes,
instead of such.
instead of it.
Okay. Any additional?
No, that's it, Chairman.
Any additional board members have comments on these ordinance changes? Because I think what we need to do is vote on these to send to town council to have them reviewed. And then go from there. Does somebody want to make a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry, there was,
Oh, go ahead.
on the last page on the performance or registration standards for registered dispensaries,
Yep.
should we have something in there about repeat offenders,
Repeat offenders for what?
like odor? I don't know how many times we've been to a particular place for odors, and how long does it keep happening that? Or that just starts getting into
Yeah, so it's
starting
good.
enforcing and applying fines to get people
We can't
to-
apply fines. A
That's
judge can. We,
what I'm
we,
getting at. So there's nothing in our standards that really has meat for the town. So you get, every other day, you could have a dispensary with the windows open, and it takes you to go down there and say, hey, you need to close your windows. Meanwhile, the neighbors and businesses are
what's
affected by
funny
it.
is the businesses are not complaining, the neighbors are not complaining. It's people who are driving by that are complaining. We're-
Keep driving.
There's one that I have said, if I get another complaint, you're at risk of your license being pulled.
Is there any enforcement from the state on this?
No, it's us.
Us.
So,
So we
you know,
get nothing, we get nothing from the state?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay,
I wouldn't dare to say no, that we wouldn't get any help, but
okay. But
if
they're
I keep-
licensed by the state, correct?
they are licensed through the
So-
state and the town.
Right. So could, I don't know how it works, but could you call the state and say, I've had complaints about this corporate, not corporation, but this entity with odor, and is there any restitution that the state can provide? Meaning suspend
I
the
can check.
license? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know when I drive around town, I can
You know where they are.
smell where they are.
Yeah.
Smell the weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's not this town, that's any town within a 30-mile, 60-mile radius. So do we want to make a motion to move these on to town council for approval? Yes, go ahead,
I
Heath.
think,
Yep,
so on page 13, 1122C, it says the planning board may require the construction of storage ponds and dry hydrants for fire protection purposes, but yet on page 4, we've struck out fire ponds may be allowed in lieu of.
that's elderly and housing development. Yeah, I did see that.
So I guess I'm a little confused on that, because if we're striking out that fire ponds are no longer allowed, then is that considered a storage pond?
Can you, where,
page
1122C, page 13, right in the middle of the page.
And then if you go back to page 4,
Why don't we strike construction of storage ponds and just leave dry hydrants? Do you see that, Patty?
yep,
Is that?
because I'm
That
kind of
makes
referring
sense. That's
back
a
to
good
page 4 where it
catch.
says
Yep.
storage tank.
Yep.
So should that be storage tank instead of storage pond,
yep.
maybe?
Yes. Okay. Make a motion that we send these proposed zoning amendments for the June 2025, either on secret ballot or on the floor of town meeting to town council. Will have them reviewed.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion by myself, a second by Scott. Discussion? All those in favor?
Hopefully, we can get them back in a timely manner.
Yep.
I put
Can,
a time
Can
frame
we
on
add
it.
that to the request, like within?
Within the next 60 days? 45?
30?
30?
30, you think? is-
Are these posted online?
No,
Can we post them online, or can we provide copies?
yes.
'Cause we
So
still
if
have-
people are interested in what we're proposing for the ordinance changes for town meeting, June 2025, they're available, there's paper copies available at the code enforcement office, and I think we could probably get them scanned and get them online.
Yes,
So, there's really not a lot of controversial stuff in here, but we want people to know
Well, it all depends.
exactly, yeah, what we're
I don't
proposing.
think, right? We
Yeah.
can't agree on
Yep,
business contractors and residential. And all residentials are different. Some people have 5-acre residential lots, some have a half acre.
yep. Do you want to say something, Henry?
But don't we have, so what, we gotta have a public hearing, correct?
Yes.
we should send it to the attorney first,
We have to
right?
send it to the
I
attorney
know,
first.
that's why it's 30.
The timeframe.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, that's leading to
I'd
the
like a
time.
little more.
Hold on. So the time frame is going to be We're gonna give the
Gotta be done by
attorney,
April.
we're gonna give the attorney 30 days?
Yeah,
We give her 30 days, she might not do it anyway, it doesn't really matter.
then we can send it, we have,
Well, we should do a public hearing when there's still time to make a change.
We have to do a public hearing.
We should do a public hearing while
Yes.
there's still time to make a change
Yes.
before it goes
Yes.
to print.
Yes.
do you want to do public hearing before it goes to the attorney? Or do it,
No?
and why can't we schedule a public hearing and send it to the attorney?
Because if she makes changes,
What if she's okay with it, but the public isn't okay with it? So if they make changes, they don't make changes, but if they come up with something we didn't think of, we're gonna have to have another public hearing anyway.
Can we send it to her and say, we'd like to have these back in 30 days? And if she says yes, then the next meeting we can set a schedule?
yep, let's do that.
Yep.
And I agree with you, so if we get some input from the public,
Yeah.
then we
We
can
wanna
change it.
save time for a second
Yeah.
public hearing.
Basically, it comes down is when they print the town report.
Correct.
But once it's printed in the town report, it can't be changed. It could be, it can't be changed, I don't think it can be changed on the floor of town meeting. No, I don't think you can change anything. So it's either voted up or down.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I'd
Yes.
just like a little more discussion
Sure.
at some other meeting about the contractor thing. It kind of, a more traditional manner that you should be able to do as much as you can with
Yep.
your own land.
Yep.
I do understand, like Scott says, I know with the development that you live in, those are like 1 acre lots. If there's a contractor in there and had all kinds of stuff, but maybe be a little more lax in what you were talking about. One thing you might put on it would be fencing, or also the lot size. Like you said, if you have a half acre or 1 acre lot, you could fill it right up with some equipment pretty quick. And noise, that would be another thing that could be brought to bear on anybody who has construction stuff, if they're banging stuff early in the morning. And odor, yep. But,
I think the big thing not to forget is it's a conditional use.
the what?
It's conditional.
It's a conditional use, so we can impose,
But how many people start out like I did, and maybe you,
Oh,
as
yeah,
a
I do
contractor?
too.
You don't want to go rent space somewhere, or you can't afford to.
I couldn't afford to go rent
Maybe you,
space.
Jerry, when you started out.
If I can't
ran
have,
everything
if
in
I
my
can't
house.
have it where I have it now, I can't afford
But
to go rent space.
I would not, I don't think try to do it on a half acre or 1 acre lot. I mean, I've got plenty of room, you don't see any of it from the road.
I've got a 5 acre lot. Well,
Yeah.
technically 10 acres. So.
I got a lot more than that,
I
but,
know you do.
but
We're all
across,
coming to your house.
bring your equipment over to my house,
Right, we'll
right?
store it,
But across
here.
the street from me over the years, they have covenants in that development.
Yes.
The size of the house, what you can and can't do.
Yep.
I don't have that across the street.
No.
Although I had one neighbor, I have a mobile home that's a rental across the street from this, and it's been there for years. It was there before any of those houses were built. And you weren't here, but previous one, when Fred was here, people come up and said, oh, can't they get rid of that or something? No, it was there. You bought the house, you knew that. So, okay, anyway, a little more discussion would be helpful, I think.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak to tonight's meeting? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:52.
I'll make
Second.
that motion, second, yeah.
I have a motion, a second. All those in favor? Good evening.